abusive and filthy words, namely sauvage, cochon, zarco, amongst other things, to my address while I was leaving the chamber. I consider his conduct was a departure from parliamentary convention and etiquette. I am reporting the incident to the House because if left unchecked, it would represent a standing challenge to the authority of the chair and the dignity of the House. I leave the matter in the hands of the House.
Mr. Speaker, sir, in view of your ruling and the gravity of the matter, I beg under Standing Order 17-3 to take the time of the House for urgent business.
Seconded.
The question that the Honourable Prime Minister be allowed under Standing Order 17-3 to take the time of the House for urgent business. Those in favour say aye, those against say no. Aye. The ayes have it.
Mr. Speaker, sir, having obtained your permission, I beg to move under Standing Order 29-1 to present a motion without notice.
Seconded.
The question is that the Honourable Prime Minister be allowed under Standing Order 29-1 to move a motion without notice. Those in favour say aye, those against say no. The ayes have it.
Mr. Speaker, sir, in view of your ruling and the gravity of the matter, I beg to move that the Honourable Paul Béranger be suspended from the service of the Assembly for today's sitting and the next 6 sittings unless unreserved apologies are tendered to the House.
I am naming you, Honourable Bagwan, I am naming you. Please leave the House. Please leave the House. Leave the House. Sergeant at Arms. All police officers, Sergeant at Arms, do your work. So the motion is seconded. Are you following? The motion is seconded?
Yes. Seconded.
The question is that the Honourable Paul Béranger be suspended from the service of the Assembly for today's sitting and the next 6 sittings unless unreserved apologies are tendered to the House. To the House. Those in favour say aye, those against say no. The ayes have it. Sergeant at Arms, do your work. Sergeant at Arms, do your work. Do your work. Honourable Béranger calling a member, a speaker cochon. All countries in the world listening to that honourable member calling speaker cochon, sauvage. I have not finished. Honourable members, order! Honourable members, order! Honourable members, order! At the end of question time, when I had already announced that time was over and was raising to suspend the sitting, Honourable Asiavaden vehemently contested my decision and acted in a grossly disorderly and aggressive manner. I consider his conduct was a departure from parliamentary convention and etiquette, and I am reporting the incident to the House because if left unchecked, it would represent a standing challenge to the authority of the chair and the dignity of the House. I leave the matter in the hands of the House.
Mr. Speaker, sir, in view of your ruling and the gravity of the matter, I beg under Standing Order 17.3 to take the time of the House for urgent business.
Seconded.
The question is that the Honourable Prime Minister be allowed to, under Standing Order 17.3, to take the time of the House for urgent business. Those in favour say aye, those against say no.
Aye.
Aye, Sabi.
Mr. Speaker, sir, having obtained your permission, I beg to move under Standing Order 29.1 to present a motion without notice.
Seconded.
The question is that the Honourable Prime Minister be allowed to, under Standing Order 29.1, to move a motion without notice. Those in favour say aye, those against say no.
Aye. Mr. Speaker, sir, in view of your ruling and the gravity of the matter, I beg to move that the Honourable Asiawaden be suspended from the service of the Assembly for today's sitting and the next 5 sittings, unless unreserved apologies are tendered to the House.
The question is that the Honourable Asiawaden be suspended from the service of the Assembly for today's sitting and the next 5 sittings, unless unreserved apologies are tendered to the House. Those in favour say aye, those against say no. Aye. Yes.
Order. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I want to raise a point of order under section 40, subsection 3, which states as follows: no member shall impute improper motive to any other member. And today, earlier, the Honourable First Member of Vacquaf and Floréal, Honourable Béranger, uttered the words corrompu not less than 5 times à l'égard de l'Honourable Ministre Léjonga. So kindly request her to withdraw. Thank you.
I'll review the recording and report to the House.
Point of order. I heard the word colon uttered on this side of the house, and someone replied to me before. Maybe kindly review the video also for this word, please. Yes.
I will review
40,
the recording and
42.
report to the House.
Speaker, sir, and a point of order. You gave a ruling before with regards to using mobile phones in the House against Honourable Ketilman. He took a picture and she apologized. It seems that Honourable Joanna Béranger has been filming the scene when the incident was happening. If she has done so, I'll request her to, if you can do the necessary action at your end. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
So I'll look into order. I'll look into the matter and report to the House.
Statements by ministers.
Mr. Speaker, sir, with your permission, I wish to make a statement on the performance of Team Mauritius at the 11th Indian Ocean Islands Games. It is with immense pride that I address the House today to reflect upon the exceptional performances of Team Mauritius at the recent 11th Indian Ocean Islands Games, which took place in Madagascar from 25th August to 3rd September 2023. Mauritius has achieved its best ever performance in an away games. Securing an unprecedented total of 281 medals, including an outstanding 91 gold medals, resulting in a second place finish overall. The Mauritian flag flew high in Antananarivo. The Team Mauritius and our medalists deserve our heartfelt congratulations for their resounding victories. Victories that not only showcase their unwavering dedication, but also served as a testament to the seriousness, tenacity, and selfless commitment to our nation. Furthermore, the 11th Indian Ocean Islands Games have unveiled the relentless determination and resilience of Team Mauritius in the face of daunting challenges. Values such as teamwork, solidarity, and mutual support shown through at various levels throughout this unforgettable regional sporting event. I personally had the privilege of witnessing the unwavering efforts and the burning desire of our athletes to surpass themselves and to proudly hoist our national flag in the skies of Madagascar. Our medalists will be rewarded fittingly for their outstanding achievements. Long live our sportsmen and our youth, and long live the Republic of Mauritius. Thank you.
Public Bills first reading.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I move that the Fisheries Bill number 13 of 2023 be read a first time.
Seconded.
Public Bill second reading.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I move that the Private Recruitment Agencies Bill number 12 of 2023 be read a second time. Mr. Speaker, sir, the bill that we have before the House today pertains to the consolidation and strengthening of our legal framework relating to the recruitment of our citizens for employment both locally and abroad, and non-citizens for employment in Mauritius. Currently, such recruitment is governed by the provision of the Recruitment of Workers Act 1993. As the House is aware, this Act has, for the last 2 decades, served as the cornerstone of our employee recruitment policies. However, in view of the demographic shift that our country has undergone over the past few years and the evolving landscape of employment workforce mobility both locally and abroad, the 1993 Act no longer adequately fulfills our national requirements. I am proud to be the Minister of Labour in a government that respects, protects, and upholds the rights of workers as a national priority, be they our own nationals or migrant workers whose economic contribution to our industries is valuable and valued. In 2015, under the Prime Minister's office, the government of Mauritius established the Migration and Development Steering Committee. In 2018, the National Migration and Development Policy was approved and aligns itself with the UN Sustainable Development Goal 10.7 to facilitate orderly, safe, regular, and responsible migration and mobility of people, including through the implementation of planned and well-managed migration policies. Mr. Speaker, sir, our own national history is deeply enshrined in migration, the entire population being descendant of workers from a plethora of countries and continents. To this end, this island republic has an entrenched tradition to welcome workers from abroad. Over the last decade, migrant workers represent 17% of the increase in the workforce. As of April 2023, there are more than 35,000 expatriate workers in Mauritius engaged across multiple sectors, particularly manufacturing, construction, trade, hospitality, and ICT, amongst others. In my ministry, whether it is a Mauritian worker moving overseas for employment or a foreign worker entering Mauritius, we believe in migration with dignity. It is notable that migrant workers in Mauritius are treated with the same rights and on equal footing as their Mauritian counterparts, and their employment is governed by the Workers' Rights Act 2019. The officers in my ministry work tirelessly to tackle any challenges as soon as they arise. By constantly assessing how policy and practice can be improved, we have taken a number of measures to promote fair and ethical working relations. These measures include, firstly, the publication of a guide specifically for foreign workers, called as Know Your Rights, that is to inform them of their basic human and work rights. This guide, which is in 6 languages, is provided to all migrant workers and employers. Secondly, ensuring that migrant workers are remunerated in accordance with the provision of the law. Thirdly, regular inspections by officers of the Special Migrant Workers Unit are conducted in the workplace to ensure that the obligations of the employer are being met both contractually and ethically. They are also sensitized on labor and human trafficking issues and on the need of their passport and valid work permit to be in their possession. Fourthly, rigorous joint inspections are carried out by the National Employment Department, the Special Migrant and Occupational Safety and Health Units of my ministry to ensure that the living and work conditions of migrant workers are in compliance with the Workers' Rights Act. Fifth, ensuring that all enterprises set up a communication channel at their level to allow migrant workers to voice out and discuss any grievances they might have. Six, by setting up of a one-stop shop with a special mechanism to deal with issues related to migrant workers, grievances and complaints received are attended to promptly. The assistance of police is sought whenever the need is felt. Lastly, thorough investigation of all requests to cancel work permits is carried out to determine that a dismissal is lawful and will not cause undue prejudice. Moreover, Mr. Speaker, sir, with a view to ensuring fair and ethical recruitment at source itself, Mauritius uses bilateral cooperation as part of its means to ensuring safe, orderly and regular migration. We proactively engage in labor agreements with fellow nations. This includes a technical cooperation agreement with the Republic of Seychelles, which was signed in 1990, a bilateral labor service cooperation agreement with the People's Republic of China, signed in 2005, and an agreement on regulation of manpower employment with the State of Qatar, Government of the United Arab Emirates, Nepal, and India, signed in 2014, 16, 19, and 23, respectively. Furthermore, circular migration agreements have been signed with France, Italy, Canada. More memorandum of understandings are currently under process with Madagascar, Bangladesh, and the Republic of Ireland. Mr. Speaker, sir, my ministry has consulted the International Organization for Migration in the preparation of this bill. The measures contained in the bill are in line with the recommendations of IOM as well as the standards set by the International Recruitment Integrity System, commonly called as IRIS. With regard to the employer's side, Mr. Speaker, sir, my ministry engages in regular consultation with the private sector in respect to workers' rights and to ensure that they are actively fulfilling their responsibilities and obligations. Initiatives such as the recently developed Code of Conduct for employers in the export-oriented enterprises is one such example to this. Without any doubt, Mr. Speaker, sir, these actions are producing results. Nevertheless, they will be more forceful and impactful when they are supported by strong legal framework. This is precisely the reason why today I am advocating for the adoption of the Private Recruitment Agencies Bill in replacement of the Recruitment of Workers Act 1993. I have absolutely no doubt, Mr. Speaker, sir, that this new bill will meet the specificities of employees' recruitment in the modern context, protecting both national and foreign workers from exploitation and allowing Mauritius to be a mobility hub benchmark. This new bill, as opposed to the existing one, focuses on inclusiveness as it applies to both our citizens as well as non-citizens seeking employment opportunities within and beyond our borders. Mr. Speaker, sir, I now turn to present to you the key clauses of the Private Recruitment Agencies Bill. Firstly, Clause 4 provides that no person who operates in Mauritius shall recruit a worker to work in Mauritius or abroad unless he is licensed as a private recruitment agency. It will ensure that only genuine, reliable, trustworthy agencies who are committed to migration with dignity are engaged in the recruitment activity. This clause also prohibits recruitment agents or agencies registered abroad from carrying out recruitment activities in Mauritius. This measure will increase local control and eliminate risk of abuses by foreign entities. The recruitment of a non-citizen worker other than a non-citizen resident worker who is already in employment in Mauritius for employment with another employer in Mauritius or for employment abroad will also be prohibited as to prevent exploitation and maintain employment stability. Secondly, Clause 5 is based on the employer pay principle. It makes it mandatory for employer to bear all legitimate costs related to the recruitment of any worker, including their travel expenses. The rationale behind this very strong stance against workers being charged any fee is unequivocally to protect the worker, ensure that his financial vulnerability is not exploited in the pursuit of employment opportunities, and thus eliminate all risks of bonded labor. Mr. Speaker, sir, Mauritius has a zero-tolerance stance to bonded labor. Mauritius ratified the ILO Convention number 29 on forced labor and Convention number 105 on abolition of forced labor in December 1969. In addition, this clause of the bill will address the problem whereby some of our citizens in search of employment overseas are made to pay hefty recruitment fees for application processing. The bill will give them relief against such practice. Then Clause 8 of this bill will bestow greater powers upon my ministry in terms of variation, suspension, and revocation of licenses and power for inspection, seizure, and summons in case of suspicion of illegal practices. Such powers will undoubtedly enable my ministry to effectively regulate and oversee all recruitment activities, allow it to keep pace with the ever-evolving dynamics of labor markets, promptly respond to any emerging challenges and abuses related to the recruitment of workers, and swiftly sanction non-compliance to the law. As it can be observed, this bill will leave no option to recruiters than to be most accountable and refrain from any malpractice. Lastly, Clause 21 explicitly prohibits deceitful and misleading advertisements and canvassing aimed at wrongful inducement of the recruitment of workers, thus ensuring that the recruitment process remains transparent, ethical, and in compliance with the law, as well as eliminate any scope for prospective workers to fall victims to misinformation, false promises, and unscrupulous recruiters. Mr. Speaker, sir, of paramount significance, this bill takes a staunch position against trafficking in person. It explicitly prohibits any involvement in trafficking activities, such as well as recruitment agencies suspected of such heinous offences. This firm stand is not only a legal necessity, but also a moral obligation. It affirms our commitment to combating human trafficking and protecting vulnerable individuals. Mr. Speaker, sir, the House will also note that under this bill, non-compliant recruitment agents will be sanctioned, subject to seriousness of the offence committed. Wrongdoers can be liable to fines ranging from 100,000 rupees to 1 million rupees and imprisonment of 2 to 5 years. This in itself will act as a powerful deterrent for recruiters seeking to engage in fraudulent activities. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, sir, it should be acknowledged that the private recruitment agencies bill has been presented after much reflection, extensive consultations, and discussions with the relevant stakeholders and in line with international best practices. It is indeed a salient solution that enables this government to provide our workers with a fair and just labour market in line with the recommendations of the ILO and the IOM. By adopting this bill, we will not only uphold the highest ethical standard in recruitment processes, but also ensure that they are transparent and devoid of any form of exploitation and malpractice. As the lawmakers of this country, Mr. Speaker, sir, we have today a golden opportunity to shape a brighter future for our workforce, our economy, and our country. I would therefore urge all members, be it on this side of the House or on the other side of the House, to put aside their political differences and join hands with us in the establishment of a fair and ethical employment system that will benefit every worker in our country. With these words, Mr. Speaker, sir, I now commend the bill to the House.
Seconded. Seconded. I will ask the Deputy Speaker to take the chair for a while. I have some recordings to review. Give me time.
Thank you very much. Please be seated.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir. This bill concerning the licensing of recruitment agencies for migrant workers comes only a few weeks before the commemoration of the arrival of indentured labourers, the coolies, in Mauritius on November the 2nd. When the ancestors of several members now sitting in this August Assembly came to Mauritius, according to historians, they were lured to come to Mauritius by false promises, by a mirage of a better future. They were told that they will find gold underneath the soil. So they embarked in Mauritius, unfortunately in overcrowded boats, with little or no sanitary measures and without proper medical care. They signed an agreement. That's why they were referred to as garmitia. But their condition of work in Mauritius was very different from what they signed up for. Their papers were confiscated, and if they were found outside the compound of their designated residential and working areas, they were arbitrarily arrested and detained under the infamous Vagrant Act of 1867. So, Deputy Speaker, sir, years has gone by, centuries later, unfortunately, we still witness the same kind of abuse of migrant workers in some quarters. Migrant workers are still being lured by false promises of a better future. They are not given proper, transparent employment contract in a language in which they understand. And when they do sign an agreement, an employment contract, the nature and condition of work all too often are very different to what they sign up for. Still today, there are thousands of migrant workers who are illegally smuggled, some down in the back of trucks, in boxes, but often in overcrowded boats, which occasionally capsizes and wreck, killing the workers and their dreams. Even today, certain unscrupulous recruitment agencies and intermediaries exploit, if not extort, money from gullible workers and their families, corruption at its ugliest. And to make sure that the worker will repay their debts, their passport and other travel documents are confiscated. They are threatened of termination of their employment contract and forced expulsion if they do not pay the fees that they owe to the recruitment agents. And if the worker fails to pay the fees, then their parents at home are subject to all kinds of harassment and violence. And I'm not talking only about foreign workers who come to work in Mauritius. I'm also referring to Mauritian citizens who pay huge sums of money to intermediaries who promises them employment in foreign land. And all too often, these poor Mauritians are cheated and unable to find a job once they reach the foreign land. So, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, yes, there is a definite place for regulating the recruitment of workers, not only of foreign workers who come to Mauritius, but also of Mauritians who are recruited to work abroad. The International Labour Organization has spent considerable amount of time and resources to develop principles and standards for fair and ethical recruitment of workers. According to the ILO, recruitment of workers needs to be regulated to firstly help human trafficking and help prevent human trafficking and forced labor. Secondly, protect the rights of workers, including migrant workers, from abusive and fraudulent practice during the recruitment process. But also, and importantly, to reduce the cost of labor migration and enhance development outcomes for migrant workers and their families, as well as for countries of origin and destination. ILO Forced Labor Protocol P029 was adopted in 2014. The protocol recognizes the importance of protecting persons, particularly migrant workers, from possible abusive and fraudulent practices during their recruitment and placement process in order to prevent forced labor. The accompanying recommendation of ILO number 203 prescribe specific remedial measures that includes ensuring that the recruitment fees and costs are not charged directly or indirectly to workers, requiring transparent and written contract, establishing adequate and accessible complaint mechanism, imposing adequate penalties, implementing mechanism for effective regulation of services, and providing support to business to identify, prevent, and mitigate the risk of forced labor. Now, the question that we have to ask ourselves is how far is the bill before this House compliant with ILO recommendation? Because paragraph 3 of the explanatory memorandum says, and I quote, "This bill also reflects ethical recruitment standard in line with the recommendation of the International Labour Organization and the International Organization for Migration. Section 5 of the bill provides that no private recruitment agency or employer shall charge a worker any fees in relation to his recruitment. This is most welcome and is in line with the recommendation of ILO. But there is nothing in this bill about the requirement for transparent and written contract of employment in a language under which the worker understands. And this, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, is in sharp contrast with the existing Section 7 of the Recruitment of Workers Act 1993 as amended, which provides, and I quote, every contract of employment entered into by employer and recruitment worker shall contain such terms and conditions as may be prescribed. A licensee shall, before a recruited worker leaves Mauritius, submit to the licensing authority a copy of the contract of employment signed by the employer and the recruited worker. But there's nothing in this bill requiring a copy of the signed agreement to be forwarded to the Ministry of Labour. It is crucial, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, for a worker to agree to the term of employment before deployment. The terms of employment must be explained to him in a language that he understands. There should be no coercion. And more importantly, the worker should not end up doing work in Mauritius or abroad for which he has not signed up. The bill also does not establish adequate and accessible complaint mechanism in breach of ILO recommendation number 3. Again, nothing in this bill about how to file a complaint against a recruitment agency. You're a recruited worker and you have had to pay the recruitment agency money to come to Mauritius, which is contrary to law. What is your recourse? What does the bill say about your recourse? Nothing. You have been promised work in a foreign land. You take a loan, you travel, and once you reach there, you find out that it was all false premises. What is your recourse? What is your recourse mechanism? Nothing. What is your complaint mechanism? Nothing in this bill. Section 8 of the bill does confer power on the permanent secretary to vary, suspend, or revoke a license where he is satisfied that the private recruitment agency has acted in a manner which is detrimental to the interests of a person who has recourse to its services. But suspending or revoking the license of a private recruitment agency is of little comfort to a recruited worker. He's not going to get anything. The license will be suspended, but what about his remedy? And there is absolutely no recourse mechanism in this bill for a worker against the recruitment agency. And this is a serious flaw. The bill also does not impose any obligation on the recruitment agency to ensure that the migrant worker have access to remedy without fear or recrimination. Most migrant workers of this country are unaware of their rights. And being in a foreign country, most of the time, they don't know anyone other than the recruitment agency who recruited them. And if ever they are ill-treated, the first recourse they would want to have is towards the recruitment agency. But nothing in this bill imposing any obligation on the recruitment agency to ensure that the workers, the recruited workers, has a complaint mechanism if their rights are affected. Paragraph 3 of the bill, of the explanatory memorandum to the bill, also stated that the ethical recruitment standard in this bill is in line with the recommendation of the International Organization for Migration. I've had a look at those recommendations. The Honourable Minister mentioned IRIS, Ethical Recruitment, which is IOM's flagship initiative to promote ethical recruitment of migrant workers. It has been created by IMO and a coalition of partners from various government, civil societies, and private sector. IRIS standards, the last version being in 2019, has two overreaching principles. First, respect for laws, fundamental principles and rights at work, and secondly, respect for ethical and professional conduct. Then it has 5 specific principles. Prohibition of recruitment fee to job seekers, respect for freedom of movement, respect for transparency of terms and conditions of employment, respect for confidentiality and data protection, respect for access to remedy. I've already mentioned there is prohibition on recruitment fees to job seekers, but nothing on freedom of movement, of transport, and transparency on terms and conditions, and access to remedy. Now, one of the recommendations of the IRIS standard is that the labor recruiter must ensure that migrant workers are treated equally throughout the recruitment process and are not discriminated on the basis of race, ethnicity, sex, gender, or nationality. This is one of the core principles of the IRIS standard. So, Deputy Speaker, sir, I recall when I had just come back to Mauritius as a young lawyer 25 years ago, one of my very first assignments was to review a contract of recruitment for workers who were going to work in Diego Garcia. And I was shocked that one of the criteria set out in that recruitment agreement was that the worker should not be a Mauritian citizen. So they were recruiting people to go and work in Diego Garcia, but it could not be a Mauritian. And this is clearly discriminatory. However, when we look at Section 8 of the bill, which are criteria, which are instances where the permanent secretary can vary, suspend, or revoke licenses, there's nothing. Nothing, no sanction if a recruitment agency breach the right of equal treatment of workers, if they act in a way that is discriminatory. It's nothing. Another core principle of IRIS is that the recruitment agency should not limit the freedom of movement of workers. Workers should, for example, the recruitment agency should not withhold their travel documents, their identity card, their permits. But again, nothing in this bill imposing and sanctioning, imposing an obligation on recruitment agency not to tamper with freedom of movement of the recruited members, not to confiscate their travel documents, and no sanction if they do so. There's absolutely no sanction if tomorrow a recruitment agency decides to take hold of your passport, and you only return your passport if you pay him all the fees that you owe him. Worse, there is a provision in this bill which is blatantly in breach of the ILO Convention Against Discrimination and Forced Labor, and in breach of the recommendation of the IRIS Ethics Standard. I'm referring to Section 4, subsection 3 of the bill, which reads as follows. Notwithstanding subsection 1, no person, including a private recruitment agency, shall recruit a non-citizen other than a non-citizen resident who is in employment in Mauritius or is in Mauritius without a valid work permit or occupation permit protection with another employer in Mauritius or abroad. So essentially what Section 4, subsection 3 is telling us is that if you have a migrant worker in Mauritius under an employment contract, it is an offense for a recruitment agency to contact that person and offer him a job with another employer in Mauritius or abroad. Now, nothing prevents a recruitment agency today to contact any Mauritian in employment and offer that person a job in another company in Mauritius or outside of Mauritius. In fact, you have recruitment agencies who do that all the time. They are headhunters. They are paid for it. And every employee gives the notice period in the employment contract and then go to work with the worker, the employer who gives them a better working condition and better salary. But with this section 4.3, you're discriminating, you're creating two types of workers. For the Mauritian citizen, the recruitment agency can contact them, can offer them job in Mauritius or outside of Mauritius. But for the migrant workers, no, they can't do that. For the migrant workers, they can't contact the migrant workers. They can't offer the migrant workers better job in Mauritius or abroad. So the migrant worker is stuck. He's stuck with his employer in Mauritius. However bad his employer is, however bad the condition of employment is, he is stuck in Mauritius. And this is a blatant breach of freedom of movement. This is exactly what IRIS tells us not to do. This is exactly what ILO tells us not to do. You can't coerce a migrant worker and force him to work with the employer with whom he has signed a contract. He should be free to leave. Now, there are consequences. If he needs to give notice period, he will give notice period. But we can't force him to work. There's no forced labor. ILO convention is very clear. You can't prevent a migrant worker to move and work for another person. Last time I checked, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, slavery has been abolished in Mauritius. So I really hope that the Honourable Minister will review this section 4.3 of the bill. There's also not a word in the bill on Principle 4 of the IRIS standard, requiring the recruitment agency to respect the confidentiality and protection of data relating to workers. Before issuing a license, the Permanent Secretary ought to ensure that the recruitment agency has in place the necessary procedure on data protection to ensure compliance with Data Protection Act of Mauritius. This is not in the bill. Therefore, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, it is not correct to state in the explanatory memorandum that this bill is compliant with all of the recommendations of ILO and IMO, because this is not the case. Several fundamental principles and recommendations of ILO and IMO to protect migrant workers are not in this bill. Now, very briefly, there are two other provisions of this bill that I want to address before ending. First is in regard to Section 4, subsection 1. Section 4, subsection 1 provides that no person, including a person who holds a foreign recruitment license issued in a foreign country, shall, on behalf of an employer, recruit a worker to work for that employer. So we are now making it illegal for a foreign recruitment agency to recruit workers to work in Mauritius. Today, the practice is that if you want, for example, if you are a big factory and you need workers, whether it's in the construction sector or textile or anywhere else, you need a lot of workers from, let's say, Bangladesh. What would you do? You would contact a recruitment agency in Bangladesh and ask that Bangladeshi recruitment agency to go and recruit the Bangladeshi worker. Why? Because in Bangladesh, a Mauritian agency can't recruit workers in Bangladesh to work in Mauritius. Because you need an agency who knows the laws of Bangladesh, who complies with the laws of Bangladesh, whose employment contract to be signed by the workers is compliant with Bangladesh's law. So that is why it is very important that foreign recruitment agencies in the country where the workers coming to Mauritius reside has a license. But no, with this bill, it would be illegal for them to do so. So with this bill, if tomorrow a textile company, a construction company wants to recruit 1,000 workers from Bangladesh, they will have to go and see a Mauritian recruitment agency. And that Mauritian agency, he doesn't have a permit to operate in Bangladesh. What will he do? Now, the Mauritian agency will now have to enter into a second agreement with the Bangladeshi recruitment agency for the export of workers. So 2 contracts, delays, and costs, additional costs. Why? Why additional costs? Why burden SMEs with this additional layer? And talking about Bangladesh, I hope that in his summing up, the Honourable Minister will tell us that there is no policy of this government now to discriminate against recruitment of Bangladeshi workers, because this is what I've been told by employers in construction sector and textile, that they are unable to recruit people from Bangladesh. So this Section 4, subsection 1 should go out. Finally, Section 6, subsection 6b. Section 6, subsection 6b tells you that where the permanent, an applicant is aggrieved by the decision of the permanent secretary who rejects the application, so when an applicant finds his application rejected by the permanent secretary, he may, not later than 21 days from having been informed of the decision, appeal to the minister. So you make an application, the PS, who is a civil servant, independent civil servant, find that you have not met the criteria and throw out your application. You go to see the minister, and the minister gives you the permit. On what basis? On the amount of CARICF you've received? On the number of black label bottles you have received? Come on, let's be serious, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir. It's high time now to remove all these discretionary, arbitrary powers from the hands of the executives of the minister. It is high time now that we have a proper administrative tribunal manned by independent judiciary members, either sitting magistrate or retired magistrate or retired judges, so that any aggrieved party will have access to justice without having to go through the minister. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, this bill is being introduced at a time where there is an increasing number of our citizens, our fils du sol, who are desperately trying to migrate to other countries. People are queuing up to work on cruise ships. Almost every sector of the economy is complaining of the lack of workers. In the financial sector, there is a brain drain with our professional, our skilled labor force, our crème de la crème, migrating to Luxembourg and Canada. Doctors unable to get a job in local hospital are migrating to the great despair of their parents who made such great sacrifice to give them the education that they have. The proliferation of private recruitment agencies to recruit Mauritian citizens to work abroad is but testimony of this government's inability to ensure that every Mauritian has a job which meets his expectation and aspiration in Mauritius. Our people and our youth in particular deserve a government who will work for them instead of pushing them to migrate. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Bulla, please.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, I am intervening in support of the Private Recruitment Agencies Bill put forward by my colleague, the Minister of Labour, Human Resource Development and Training. It is a straightforward piece of legislation comprising of some 26 clauses, and yet so important for each and every one, particularly for the business community. The Recruitment of Workers Act 1993 is being repealed. The Private Recruitment Agencies Bill, when voted, will act as a consolidated regulatory framework for private recruitment agencies. It indeed lays the foundation for orderly and ethical recruitment of foreign labour. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, migratory labour is a powerful driver of economic growth and social promotion. Around the world, over 280 million people have left their homeland, their country, in the universal pursuit of opportunities and its resultant dignity, a better life. I think we need to constantly remind everyone that we ourselves are the product of migratory labor. And Honorable Reza Utim rightly pointed out about this, but in different words. Despite the horrors of slavery and indentured labor, a crude reality remains. We are a country of migrants, many of whom came centuries back to work. Centuries ago back to work. Over the years, the economy evolved along with us, and modern Mauritius is a result of migrant labor. This necessity of having foreign labor to boost economic development was a reality back then, just as it is a reality today. How can we forget the large number of Mauritians who moved to Europe, UK, France, Italy, Canada, and Australia, and their success? Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, you will certainly recall hundreds of Mauritians, if not thousands of Mauritians, left for the UK in the early 60s or 70s to train and serve as nurses. Over the years, they brought along their family, and today we can boast about a Mauritian diaspora that exceeds some 225,000 people. They are proudly contributing to the economy of their country of adoption, and equally to the Mauritian economy through money transfers, that is remittances, to support their parents and elders. I am sure we all have such a member in our family or an acquaintance. And cross-border movements have existed in all continents. Latin American workers in the US, high-flying professionals in the financial sector of Luxembourg, fruit pickers that guarantee fresh produce in supermarkets throughout Europe. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, 90% of UAE, United Arab Emirates workforce, is foreign labor, according to its official authorities. Migrant workers in Singapore constitute 40% of its 3.4 million labor force. And we are here talking about economies of 500 billion USD. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, where would our own country be had it not been for the contribution of migrant workers over the last decades? All of the current ones, namely 37,000 foreign workers that are fueling the growth of our economy. We have to be awake to a reality. If we do not have foreign labor in our bakeries, people say there will be no bread on your table for breakfast. Who will fill in our cars at the filling stations? Because many of those employed in these jobs is foreign labor. Who would work on the tills of our supermarkets or write sophisticated programs for foreign multinationals? Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, today we boast of 50 billion rupees of exports in the manufacturing sector. It is one of the major foreign exchange earners of our economy. How can we forget that out of the 33,000 employees in the export sector, 16,000 or 50% are expatriates? On the international front, countries are competing for talent and skills. And if we are to remain competitive in international markets, we have to accept the reality of foreign labor and its immense potential to contribute to economic development. And if we are able to keep crucial services running locally, we need foreign labor. But, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, how often have we not heard of sad stories of abuse? And this is where this bill fits. This bill brings an appropriate legal mechanism and imposes requirements and criteria in the process of foreign labor recruitment, thus enhancing fairness and equity. This bill seeks to put an end to stories of neo-exploitation. We want to portray Mauritius as a country of aspirations with shared prosperity, a country where dreams do not turn into nightmares. In this context, we have to set the rules for fair recruitment in the best interest of one and all. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, the Private Recruitment Agencies Bill also comes to protect our citizens who are seeking employment opportunities abroad. So many of them have fallen into the trap of illegal recruiters who promised them better jobs in Europe and the Middle East. In this process, the fake agents have asked for huge transfers of money and then disappeared in thin air. Unscrupulous private employment agencies are on rampage due to informal intermediaries and other actors operating outside the legal framework. The Private Recruitment Agencies Bill will empower only licensed institutions to carry out recruitment activities, whether it is for Mauritians or foreigners, as specified in the explanatory notes of this bill. Clause 5 of this bill clearly mentions that fees pertaining to the recruitment of foreign labor are borne by the employer. For many years, many agents have lied to and squeezed money out of foreigners who desire to work in Mauritius. To be able to repay their debts and earn a living, many of these workers are compelled to take more than one job. And their shift at the official workplace, many of them are on the lookout for additional work, very often against a very low remuneration. Fake agents have also been found responsible for serious violations of workers' basic rights. The bill now puts a full stop to such practices. This is why a more robust legislation was required to balance the interests of private employment agencies with the need to protect the rights of workers. The Private Recruitment Agencies Bill is in line with the International Labour Organization Convention. It is gratifying to note that the bill makes it mandatory for foreign companies wishing to engage in recruitment activities in Mauritius to be licensed by the Mauritian authorities, even if they already hold a license in their country of origin. It is clearly spelled out in Clause 4.1 of the bill. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, how many times we have heard of employers who have gone through an ordeal to bring in workers. After a cumbersome process trying to get the necessary approval and permits from different authorities, and after ticking all the boxes, they finally get the précieux cessation to get the workers on our shores. But then, 2 days after their arrival in Mauritius, the workers just disappear, leaving no trace behind. Either they have illegally taken up jobs offered by a different employer who managed to lure them, or they have simply used Mauritius as a platform to go elsewhere. We all realize that this jeopardizes the situation of the employer who initiated all procedures of recruitment. Thankfully, this bill remedies this situation. Clause 4.3 prevents an individual, even a private recruitment agency, to indulge in such malicious activity. I know that Honorable Reza, our team who intervened before me, had a different reading of this clause and subsection, and I hope that the Honourable Minister, during his summing up, will give more detail about it. But there's a reality that it is true that only after days that we have the employers, the foreign employees here in Mauritius, they just disappear. And many, many people have come to see me from the textile sector and even from the agricultural sector, that they can't even locate where these workers have gone. And it is very, very difficult to trace them. Another trend, Mr. Deputy Speaker, is the illegal recruitment of expatriates who are on the island without a valid work permit. This bill puts the brakes on this practice. So we can note that this bill is filling all the gaps of the previous legislation. This bill sends a strong signal to private recruitment agencies that they need to comply to legal provisions to uphold the dignity of expatriates who leave their country in pursuit of opportunities and better life. No more money minting on the backs of vulnerable individuals. Apart from correcting many wrongs, it is heartening to note that this bill embraces customer requirements with regards to fair treatment of employees along the value chain. Many of the renowned brands that Mauritian manufacturers serve, like Abercrombie and Fitch, Marks and Spencer, Tommy Hilfiger, Diesel, Woolworths, Guess and Armani, impose strict conditions with regard to compliance with labor laws and the upholding of the dignity of workers. These brands' owners even delegate officers to visit the manufacturing plants, and thereafter they submit their reports. It is praiseworthy that as a country we are being proactive on this customer requirement. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, Clause A lists all the conditions leading to the suspension and revocation of the license of a private recruitment agency. The directors of those companies cannot plead ignorance. I am particularly heartened to know that this bill prohibits shady or convicted individuals to engage into recruitment activities. Indeed, Clause 13 of the bill compels private recruitment agencies to employ fit and proper personnel. I think this further builds trust in the recruitment process. Mr. Deputy Speaker, Sir, Clause 14 ensures that the Ministry of Labour is apprised of any change in directors and transfer of shares by the private recruitment agency. Failure to do so entails the revocation of the license. I believe this provision prevents shady individuals from getting hold of the recruitment agency. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, in comparison to the Recruitment of Workers Act 1993, the Private Recruitment Agencies Bill is making provision to tackle the issue of fraudulent advertisement campaigns for recruitment. Many agents reach their victims via misleading adverts on social media, radio, and even TV. And without prior verification, many have fallen into the trap. Clause 21 of the bill prevents abusive marketing and advertisement campaigns. You will certainly agree that sometimes, even when law exists, implementation and enforcement are often weak, unfortunately. Clause 17 of the bill confers powers of inspection and seizure to the Ministry of Labour to carry out inspection on premises of private recruitment agencies. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, lawbreakers should not be allowed to get away easily. Fines imposed should be severe and should serve as a deterrent. I note that with the Private Recruitment Agencies Bill, fines for offences have been doubled, and in some cases more than doubled, compared to the present legislation, that is, the Recruitment of Workers Act 1993. We are aware that to further curb down the activities of recruitment agencies, the Ministry of Labour has signed an MOU with India. This allows employers to recruit foreign labour directly from that country without retaining the services of any agent. I understand that similar MOUs are being negotiated with other countries, namely Madagascar and Bangladesh. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, no society anywhere in the world can operate on the exploitation of labour. As a thriving country that is full of exciting job opportunities, we are an ideal country to welcome foreign workers. To guarantee basic human rights, we have to ensure that those who come to work in this country are duly protected and not be part of an almost invisible, exploited group of workers. Such people have the right to expect fairness of treatment and certainly the protection of their interests. As a nation that has evolved a sense of fair treatment and equality for so long, it would be appalling if we were found to be treating those who come to our shores to seek work in an unacceptable and reprehensible manner. This is why I commend the Private Recruitment Agencies Bill, a bill that adds up another milestone in the protection of workers' rights and the promotion of fair recruitment practices. I'm done, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Thank you very much. Allow me to say that Mr. Speaker shall resume his chair.
Please be seated. Honorable members, regarding the point of order taken by the Honorable Fukun Basa, to the effect that she heard the word colon from the other side of the House, I have to report, as at now, I have not been able to ascertain who uttered that word. However, honorable members can rest assured I will look into the matter and report to the House accordingly. Secondly, with regard to the issue raised by Honorable Danu about filming in the chamber, I have not been able also to ascertain such issue, and so I'll be reporting to the House when I come to certain conclusion. After the Honorable Bagwan had uttered the words, livré to un cochon, to the address of the Speaker, in a period where we were in Durga Puja period, I named him for his grossly disorderly conduct and for challenging the authority of the chair.
In view of your decision to name the Honorable Bagwan, I beg under Standing Order 17.3 to take the time of the House for urgent business.
Seconded. The question is that the Vice Prime Minister, Minister of Education, Tertiary Education, Science and Technology be allowed under Standing Order 17.3 to take the time of the House for urgent business. Those in favor say aye, those against say no.
Mr. Speaker, sir, having obtained your permission, I beg to move under Standing Order 29.1 to present a motion without notice.
Seconded. The question is that the Honourable Vice Prime Minister, Minister of Education, Tertiary Education, Science and Technology be allowed under Standing Order 29.1 to move a motion without notice. Those in favour say aye, those against say no. Aye. The ayes have it.
Mr. Speaker, sir, in view of your decision to name the Honourable Bhagwan, I beg to move that the Honourable Bhagwan be suspended from the service of the Assembly for today's sitting and the next 5 sittings unless unreserved apologies are tendered to the House.
Seconded. The question is that the Honourable Bhagwan be suspended from the service of the Assembly for today's sitting and the next 5 sittings unless unreserved apologies are tendered to the House. Those in favour say aye, those against say no. Aye. The ayes have it. After the Honourable Lachman Roy took a point of order to the effect that Honourable Joanna Béranger had uttered the word corrompu to the address of Honourable Minister Lejongor, I have checked the recording which confirms that the word corrompu was uttered several times by the Honourable Joanna Béranger. I consider her behaviour to be grossly disorderly and contemptuous to the decorum of the House. I therefore leave the matter in the hands of the House.
Mr. Speaker, sir, in view of your ruling, I beg under Standing Order 17.3 to take the time of the House for urgent business.
Seconded. The question is that the Honourable Vice Prime Minister, Minister of Education, Tertiary Education, Science and Technology be down and Standing Order 17.3 take the time of the House for urgent business. Those in favour say aye, those against say no. Aye. Ayes have it.
Mr. Speaker, sir, having obtained your permission, I beg to move under Standing Order 29.1 to present a motion without notice.
Seconded. The question is that the Honourable Vice Prime Minister, Minister of Education, Tertiary Education, Science and Technology be allowed under Standing Order 29.1 to move a motion without notice. Those in favour say aye, those against say no. Aye. Ayes have it.
Mr. Speaker, sir, in view of your ruling, I beg to move that the Honourable Joanna Béranger be suspended for the service of the Assembly for today's sitting and the next 3 sittings unless unreserved apologies are tendered to the House.
Seconded. The question is that the Honourable Joanna Béranger be suspended from the service of the Assembly for today's sitting and the next 3 sittings unless unreserved apologies are tendered to the House. Those in favour say aye, those against say no. The ayes have it. Order. Order. Who is the next speaker on the list? Honourable Lachman Roy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I shall take a short call to talk on this very important bill. Mr. Speaker, sir, this morning while listening to the radio, I could listen to the titre du journal de 7h et 8h saying un gouvernement requinqué et une opposition sur le pied de guerre pour la rentrée parlementaire. And this is what we have been experiencing today, Mr. Speaker, sir. That on this side, you can imagine the joy on this side of the members who have always been tagged as illegitimate or election truqué, being given the opportunity now, of course, to lend my voice for this legislation. But let me just share this with the members of the House that this is very important for us because as we have always been saying it, okay, 1 election and 2 victoires. Voilà. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, it's with great joy that I'm lending my voice to this bill today as this is my first speech. I'm addressing the House as a private parliamentary member for the constituency number 1 and number 4 as well. Mr. Speaker, sir, migration and internal displacement are among the most pressing topics on the international agenda and local as well. Leaders across the world, whether it is international community or civil society, even governments across the world, are raising concern about migration. Well, it might sound as being uncontroversial, but if it is uncontrolled and poorly managed, then this could lead to a controversy. Worldwide, we have around like 250 million people living outside their home, among which we have a beautiful Mauritian diaspora. And I would like to here commend the beautiful speech and the really nice words uttered by the Honorable Minister Bola, who said it and who got us back to our grassroots, that we are a country of migrants. This is what we should not forget as well. And even Honorable Utim as well mentioned Girmitya. So it's always good to go back to our roots and to remember that we are here debating, but we should not forget our roots, that we are a country of migrants. Mr. Speaker, sir, coming to the bill, let me salute the effort of the Honourable Minister of Labour, Human Resource Development and Training for bringing the Private Recruitment Agencies Bill to the House. The recruitment of foreign workers have been the topic of discussion, as I mentioned previously, in different spheres, whether it is within the Assembly, through several PQs, and just to name few of them, we have had some PQs in 2023 where Honorable Boda asked about the data available for the Ministry of Foreign Workers who have been in the country for more than 10 years, and it is 325. Some PMQTs addressed to the Honorable Prime Minister stating that we have 585 foreigners and tourist or business visa which are here in Mauritius, which their visa have expired. 2,294 missing expats workers are on our land. And referring to the records available for PQB 1116, there are 29,989 foreign workers which are registered here in Mauritius. And in 2011, there was a report as well, which I think should go back. We need to bring it back again to the table by Mr. Jeppe Blumensat Rasmussen. It was a report which was tabled to the Amnesty International, Inhuman Conditions of Migrant Workers, which was later refuted by the then Minister of Labour, Honorable Shakil Mohammed. Now I understand why he withdrew his name from the list of orators. Mr. Speaker, sir, the explanatory is clear enough and precise enough to understand the importance of the why of this bill. And I shall refrain from repeating what has already been said. But if there are two sentences which got my attention and which I would like to share with the members of the Assembly, right, with your permission, I shall draw the attention to the very introduction of the bill itself, where at the third line, it says that the Recruitment of Workers Act, which was enacted several years back, has stood the test of time but needs certain changes. Yes, Mr. Speaker, sir, we definitely agree that the Workers Act has stood its test of time, especially one should not forget about the 137 school cleaners, especially women, to whom this government gave a decent pay and their dignity as well. And we have also stood the test of time during COVID-19, where this government has provided the wage assistance scheme and self-employed assistance scheme amounting to 27 billions. One should also keep in mind that during the pandemic, the government has supported the tourism industry by giving financial support, and today the tourism industry a repris son envol, as we say. So yes, we have stood the test of time as well. However, I would like here to refer to a sentence and a word that has often been uttered here in this assembly, and today uttered by the Honorable Mr. Utim, who once again drew the attention about brain drain. I would like to refer to the Honourable Member to an article published in Le Mauricien on the 14th of August 2023, where there are the interviews of different Mauritians across the world, and you have also the diaspora. And I would like to refer to some interviews given here where at times they stated clearly that it is a choice. It is not always brain drain. And it is also mentioning that it is not a phenomenon that dates now with this government, mais ça a existé depuis des décennies, to cite, of course, this article, which I can definitely table as well. So there is another element that I would like to share. in this bill, which is very, very important, is Section 4 in the explanatory memorandum itself, where it says that it prohibits, Section 4D, where it mentions that prohibits the recruitment of a non-citizen worker other than a non-citizen resident worker who is already in employment in Mauritius for employment with another employer in Mauritius or for employment abroad. Mr. Speaker, sir, as rightly said by Honorable Minister Bula, that if we do not have those migrant workers here in Mauritius, we do not get our bread in the morning. Who will put the diesel, who will put the fuel in our cars as well? So I think we have the duty to protect them. However, we should not go that far, that ignoring their pain and the sufferance that they are going through. And rightly so, because very often, I'm sure, all the members here in the House have met a migrant worker who has tried to change employer. And during that process of changing employer, he or she has faced several issues, whether it concerns the health, whether it concerns their passport. So I think this regulation, this bill comes to a good time where we are there to regulate them and to give them the right support as well. Part 2 of the bill, where it mentions about the recruitment, Section 4, recruitment of workers, stating that no person, including a person who holds a foreign recruitment license issued in a foreign country, shall on behalf of an employer recruit a worker to work for that employer. This reminds us again of course, us, the Girmintias, who came to Mauritius, being offered a job here and how it happened that we were given false promises as well. So this is where we are trying to bring a change and to bring a legislation towards those people, whether it is Mauritians going to work abroad or international people coming here, foreigners coming to work here, where they can rely on the laws and the legislation here in Mauritius. The bill will regulate the recruitment agency in simple words. If you do not possess a valid license to operate as a private recruitment agency, you would not be allowed to recruit workers. So it furthermore prohibits the recruitment of a non-citizen worker other than a non-resident worker who is already employed in Mauritius for employment with other employers in Mauritius under Part 2, Section 3. And this, Mr. Speaker, sir, was a long overdue, as for too long we have witnessed how non-citizen workers leave one employer and they move to another company without having a proper contract between the agent and the employee, which gets the contract to be void. So therefore, for the benefits of the non-citizen workers, this bill is welcome. And I would like here to conclude, Mr. Speaker, sir, that this bill is a bill which has correctly identified the loopholes in the system for the recruitment, thus bringing the private recruitment agencies bill will better regulate the recruitment of both international and local employees as well. This is certainly, there is certainly much work to be done, but definitely we are trying our level best to address this situation, and the humanitarian consequence related to migration would be addressed. And once again, I would like to say that we are a country of migrants and we do have a responsibility towards them. I therefore support this bill, and I'm done, Mr. Speaker, sir. Thank you.
Next speaker.
Mr. Speaker, sir. First of all, let me thank the honourable members who have participated in the debates on the private recruitment agency bill. I appreciate the fact that most honourable members, even from the other side of the House, you have one, which is quite unfortunate, given the importance of this bill. Nevertheless, they have been fair and objective in their comments. I must say, on the whole, there is a general consensus on the need for the introduction of the present bill. Mr. Speaker, sir, it should be stressed that the primary motive of this government has always been and will always be of placing people at the heart of the policies which affect them. Just to give some statistics, Mr. Speaker, sir, Today, there are 99 million male migrant workers and 75 million female migrant workers across the world. And as stated by Philippe González Moral, the United Nations Special Rapporteur on the human rights of migrants in his report in July 2023, the labor and human rights of migrants is one of the defining issues of our era. In Mauritius, Mr. Speaker, sir, we currently have 37,985 migrant workers working in different sectors of the economy. Our government cares about them, regardless of their country of birth, and it is for this reason that I am introducing the Private Recruitment Agency Bill as a new mechanism to our ever-evolving commitment to workers' rights. Mr. Speaker, sir, mobility of workers remains today, as it has historically, the world's most powerful anti-poverty tool. When facilitated in an orderly, safe, regular, and responsible manner, as prescribed in UN Sustainable Development Goal 10.7, it provides empowerment and self-determination. This bill is, in its philosophy, encapsulates this target. Foreign workers who migrate from high poverty countries send home money each year than any foreign aid program provides. Since 2020, Mr. Speaker, sir, migrant workers have remitted more than $702 billion to their home countries. Wealthier countries with declining population are desperately short of workers, with unfilled jobs costing the global economy over $3 billion per day. Moreover, Mr. Speaker, sir, Mauritius maintains strong links with international organizations and participates in several regional consultative processes. The country is part of the migration dialogue from the Common Market for Eastern and Southern Africa member states, the Migration Dialogue for Southern Africa, and since 2020, the Migration Dialogue for the Indian Ocean Commission countries. In addition, the country implements the Common Market for Eastern and Southern Africa COMESA protocol on the gradual relaxation and eventual elimination of visa requirements. Allow me, Mr. Speaker, sir, to make some general comment on the remarks made by Honorable Utim in his speech. And I would like, in the same vein, to thank Honorable Bola, who responded to a few points raised by Honorable Utim. With regard to migrant workers being lured by false promises, Mr. Speaker, sir, I mentioned in my intervention that the bill makes provision in section 21 for deceitful and misleading advertisement in relation to migrant workers. This means that there is no scope for workers to be misled or lured by false promises by anyone. Coming to the contract of employment, I wish to reassure the House and the Honourable Member that all contracts of employment are duly vetted by the Ministry as it is the case now. It ensures that they are fair, legal, and do not cause any prejudice to the worker. There is another comment made by Honorable Mutim concerning intermediaries exploiting workers, passport retention by employers, extortion, etc. I wish to remind him that the very purpose of this bill is to eliminate all these malpractices. Mr. Speaker, sir, regarding the comment he made on section 4.1, that is, we are precluding an employer to recruit directly in the source country. The House may wish to note that my ministry is signing MOUs with all source countries through G2G agreement. And one of the conditions of the MOU is that the workers shall not be subjected to recruitment fees. In addition, all the terms and conditions of employment of workers are provided in our legislation, is clearly spelled out, including the grievance mechanism. Mr. Speaker, sir, we are prioritizing government recruitment agencies in the source country. For example, if we allow any employer to recruit by themselves in any source country, as it is the case now, we will not be able to meet our obligations on forced labor or comply with ILO conventions on ethical recruitment, because these employers will prefer to recruit from private recruitment companies on which we will not have and do not have any control, compared to government agencies where standard will be set by our government. Moreover, I deem it necessary to draw attention here, Mr. Speaker, sir, that since a few years now, cases of poaching have been reported to my ministry, where specifically to the point the Honourable Member raised on Section 4, subsection 3A. Mr. Speaker, sir, it has been reported to my ministry that foreign workers are being recruited to work. The foreign workers who are recruited to work in our country are being lured and poached for employment in certain countries, where such nationals would not have had direct access to from their country of origin. Thus, leading us to conclude that Mauritius is being used as a tremplin for the recruitment of such workers to other destinations. The private recruitment agency bill will now put a stop to such practice, which is highly unethical and bad for the image of our country. Let me reaffirm that there is no embargo, no ban on Bangladeshi workers. It is known that recruitment fees are lawfully charged in Bangladesh, which is contrary to our practice following the promulgation of this bill. We will sign an MOU with Bangladesh, and we will prioritize, like I said earlier, government recruitment agency. That is why we have not put a ban. We are trying to put some order in the recruitment from Bangladesh, and eventually we will allow work permit to be issued. Mr. Speaker, sir, let me, there is one other point which I missed on labor mobility. Since the migrant workers are on a fixed-term contract for a specific duration in our country with a specific employer, we cannot allow too much flexibility because they could negatively impact on our labor market and jeopardize merchant jobs. However, Mr. Speaker, sir, provision have already been made in Section 4.3 of the Non-Citizen Employment Restriction Act for a migrant worker to be able to change employment only in circumstances where she is victim of trafficking, ill treatment, or is in a stranded situation in our country. Mr. Speaker, sir, to conclude, it is now undeniable that our country needs migrant labor to continue its prominent emergence as a high-income economy. Even though the government has multiplied its effort to attract merchants into vacant jobs, we face the same challenges as many other nations where there is a disinterest of local candidates in certain sectors. In spite of our significantly improved salary via the introduction of the national minimum wage in 2018, the investment in skills training and reskilling program, it is a fact that we are seeing less and less merchants keen to enter the construction or textile sector. This is why we are resorting more and more to migrant workers who are important, and so as not to hamper the development and growth of our country. Mr. Speaker, sir, this bill does not only protect the rights of foreign workers being offered employment in merchants, it equally ensures the protection of merchant workers seeking to develop themselves and their opportunities by taking up work in other countries and who have been at risk of exploitation by unscrupulous recruitment agencies charging unfair processing fee. The message is simple. No one should have to pay to get a job. With these words, Mr. Speaker, sir, I now commend the bill to the House.
The bill seconded? Seconded? Well, I should ask. The question is that the Private Recruitment Agencies Bill number 12 of 2023 be read a second time. Those in favour say aye, those against say no. Aye. The ayes have it.
Public Bills Committee stage. Clause 1, short title. Clause 2, interpretation. Clause 3, application of act. Clause 4, recruitment of workers. Clause 5, fees for recruitment. Clause 6, application for license. Clause 7, renewal of license. Clause 8, variation, suspension and revocation of license. Clause 9, issue of duplicate license. Clause 10, transfer of license. Clause 11, display of license.
Question that the clauses 1 to 11 stand part of the bill. Those in favour say aye, those against say no. Aye. The ayes have it.
Clause 12, sharing of information. Clause 13, employment of key personnel of private recruitment agency. Clause 14, transfer of shares and change in directors. Clause 15, change of address. Clause 16, repatriation of non-citizen workers. Clause 17, powers of inspection and seizure. Clause 18, powers to summon. Clause 19, unlawful possession of license. Clause 20, tampering with license. Clause 21, misleading advertisement. Clause 22, offences and penalties. Clause 23, regulations. Clause 24, repeal. Clause 25, saving and transitional provisions. Clause 26, commencement.
The question is that clauses 12 to 26 stand part of the bill. Those in favour say aye, those against say no. Aye. The ayes have it.
The title and enacting clause.
The question is that the title and enacting clause stand part of the bill. Those in favour say aye, those against say no. Aye. The ayes have it. The question is that I do report to the House that the Private Recruitment Agencies Bill number 12 of 2023 has passed a committee stage without amendment. Those in favour say aye, those against say no. Aye. The ayes have it. Please be seated. Honourable members, I have to report to the House that the Private Recruitment Agencies Bill number 12 of 2023 has passed the committee stage without amendment.
Public bills, third reading.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I move that the Private Recruitment Agencies Bill number 12 of 2023 be read a third time.
The question that the Private Recruitment Agencies Bill number 12 of 2023 be read a third time. Those in favour say aye, those against say no. Aye.
Adjournment of the House to Tuesday, 24th of October at 11:30 hours.
Is that seconded? I see from the opposition. I see four members seconding the motion. The House stands adjourned. Adjournment matter. We have 30 minutes. Let's start with this lady, Honorable Lanty.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Ma requête s'adresse au vice-premier ministre et ministre des collectivités locales. J'ai reçu de nombreuses plaintes des habitants de Bord-Cascade à Henrietta concernant un terrain de pétanque triangulaire, non conforme en termes de dimension, avec des inquiétudes liées à la sécurité en raison d'un pylône électrique en danger d'effondrement sur place. Le terrain de pétanque est situé dans une gare routière sans mesure de protection adéquate pour les joueurs de pétanque. Je sollicite l'intervention du vice-premier ministre pour envisager de délocaliser ce terrain de pétanque dans le but de garantir la sécurité des joueurs de pétanque dans la région. Je vous remercie, Monsieur le Président.
The Speaker, sir, I'll talk to the Chief Executive and to see what can be done about this pitch.
Yes, sir. My request is addressed to the Minister of Land Transport and Light Rail, Honorable Alan Ganu. The members of Drupadi Amen Mahasangam Society situated at Karolalo, Valley des Prêtres, are requesting the installation of speed breakers in front of their covil. I would kindly request the Honourable Minister to look into the prompt implementation of same, taking into consideration that there have been many accidents, despite the fact that there is an existing pedestrian crossing there. Thank you.
A request dated 10th October 2023 has been received from the Secretary of Drupadi Amen Mahasangam Society Covil for the installation of a speed breaker in front of the covil due to speeding vehicle at the locus. A site visit is planned for tomorrow, Wednesday, 18th of October by the TMISU. A survey will be done, and result of the survey, the recommended safety measures would be implemented by the end of October 2023. Thank you.
Ma requête s'adresse au ministre du Transport, l'honorable Ganou, afin de soulager les malades souffrant du cancer qui doivent se rendre en autobus pour se faire soigner au New Cancer Hospital, car un manque d'arrêt d'autobus à proximité de cet hôpital fait que ces malades doivent parcourir un long chemin à pied malgré leur état de santé. Ces malades endurent déjà une rude épreuve et je demande donc que des mesures soient prises pour les soulager et trouver des solutions pour qu'ils n'aient plus autant à marcher avant, mais surtout après leur traitement de chimio et autres. Merci.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I've taken note of the matter raised and I shall convey same to the responsible minister. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, sir, my request is addressed to the Honourable Deputy Prime Minister, Minister of Housing and Land Use, Minister of Tourism. Currently, the levelling of ground is in progress at Pointe Canonier Public Beach. However, the inhabitants of Pointe Canonier, especially those who live in the vicinity of the football ground where work is in progress, are facing a serious air pollution issue. The parking slot has been covered with a layer of rock dust, a thick layer of rock dust, which is obviously causing untold inconveniences to the inhabitants, like breathing problems and other health issues. Aggrieved inhabitants of Pointe Canonier have lodged police complaints regarding same and even sought the help of Citizen Support Unit, but to no avail so far. I request the Honourable Minister to look into the matter as a matter of urgency and remedy the serious health hazard issue, the sooner the better. Thank you.
The Speaker, sir.
Pass the message to the DPM.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Ma requête de ce soir s'adresse au ministre de l'Énergie et des Utilités publiques et concerne une fuite d'eau qui persiste depuis bientôt 3 ans à la rue James Russell, à Grande-Rivière Nord-Ouest. Il semblerait que ce soit les tuyaux de la CWA, situés dans la rue parallèle, un peu plus haut, la rue Canal d'Ayo, qui fuient constamment et ces eaux descendent et inondent la rue James Russell et cela entraîne évidemment de nombreux inconvénients pour les habitants du quartier et pour les usagers de la route. Et je tiens à préciser que d'innombrables plaintes ont évidemment été faites auprès de la CWA. Je demande donc au ministre de bien vouloir intervenir pour qu'une solution durable soit enfin apportée à cette situation qui dure depuis trop longtemps. Merci.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sir, I've taken note of the request made by the honourable member and same will be conveyed to the Central Water Authority for necessary action to be taken.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Speaker, I rise tonight to direct my adjournment matter to the esteemed Minister of Agro-Industry and Food Security, Honourable Adrial. I'm deeply concerned about the continued employment of casual workers at the Mauritius Meat Authority, where a substantial number of individuals have laboured for several years under this precarious employment status. This protracted casual employment situation has given rise to severe hardship in the lives of these dedicated workers, affecting their job security, financial stability, and access to essential employment benefit. Could the Honourable Minister use his good office to look into the matter? Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Thank you to the Honourable Member for saying the nice words on me. Thank you for drawing the attention of the problem at MMA. In fact, Mr. Speaker, sir, I met those casual workers during a site visit, and I am well concerned about their problems. My ministry is having meetings with MMA, and hopefully we are going to come up with a solution sooner. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. My request is addressed to the Honourable Minister of Environment, and it concerns the les travaux d'embellissement, which are being held at the La Chapelle de Henrietta and Sherawali Mandir in Henrietta as well. These works have, I understand, have been approved, and I would request Honourable Minister to please use his good office to start the works at the earliest. Thank you.
Oui, Monsieur le Président, je prends note des deux demandes faites et bien sûr, je tiendrai la Chambre au courant.
Président, ma requête ce soir s'adresse au ministre des Sports et concerne la fermeture prolongée de la piscine Serge-Alfred à Beaubassin. Cette piscine, Monsieur le Président, est en effet fermée depuis février de cette année pour des réparations et à ce jour, il n'y a aucun signe que les travaux vont ne serait-ce débuter. Je me fais donc ce soir, Monsieur le Président, le porte-parole des parents des nageurs des 3 clubs qui sont sévèrement pénalisés en raison de la fermeture de cette piscine. L'attention du ministre a été attirée par une pétition que les parents du club de Camo lui ont fait parvenir le 29 septembre de cette année. Et dois-je rappeler que la fermeture prolongée de la piscine Serge-Alfred prive non seulement les nageurs de Beaubassin aux îles et d'ailleurs d'une activité récréative essentielle, mais elle a également un impact sur le bien-être physique et le développement de la compétence sportive. Je demande donc à l'honorable ministre de prendre les mesures nécessaires pour que des travaux de réparation soient rapidement effectués dans l'intérêt des nageurs. Je vous remercie.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Le problème de la piscine de Serge-Alfred est assez complexe. Cependant, les nageurs des différents clubs sont offerts des options au même prix à la piscine de Côte d'Eau. Et donc, récemment, nous avons eu assez d'argent dans le budget. Et donc, le Mauritius Sports Council va bientôt entamer toutes les procédures. Enfin, ce n'est pas une simple réparation, mais c'est de revoir tout le bassin qui, à l'époque, a été fait avec du carrelage. Là, l'idée, c'est de remplacer le bassin avec de l'inox, comme c'est à Côte d'Eau, afin que la piscine, le bassin devient plus solide. Donc, dois-je rappeler à la Chambre que ce n'est qu'en juin que le Mauritius Sports Council a eu le budget nécessaire, c'est-à-dire, je crois, autour de 40 millions. Bien sûr, il y a toutes les études à faire, le tendering process, etc. Donc, je fais appel aux nageurs, aux différents clubs. Nous avons bien reçu les pétitions, mais ce n'est pas, on ne pourra pas trouver une solution dès demain. Ça va prendre encore un peu de temps et, hopefully, d'ici l'année prochaine, la piscine Serge-Alfred sera aux normes encore plus modernes, tout comme la piscine de Côte d'Or. Merci.
Thank you. I would like to address the Honourable Vice Prime Minister, Dr. Hanwal Osnu, tonight regarding Champ de Mars, which lately the maintenance level of which has reached an all-time low, based on the several complaints that I have received. It's very dirty. There is rubbish and litter all over the place. Hundreds of rocks and bags have been placed along the exercise track, and this is a source of dust lifting during windy days. Champ de Mars is no longer the place it used to be, the pleasant place it used to be. Of course, there is Quarek, there is People PLC, there is the Chief Executive of the Municipal City Council of Port Louis, but my request to the Honourable Minister tonight is to kindly ask le premier parmi les citadins, the Lord Mayor of Port Louis, to kindly go and effect a site visit there and remedy the situation, because that beautiful place that Champ de Mars used to be is no longer the same. If you can go and have a look yourself, you are elected member in Port Louis, you will be very disappointed. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I'll have to check who is in charge of that situation and then deal with it afterwards.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. The issue I'm raising tonight is addressed to the Minister of Local Government. On the 22nd of September this year, there has been an unfortunate incident whereby involving a 9-year-old girl, whereby a door of the municipal center at Route Militaire, the main door, the entrance door of the center, fell off this 9-year-old girl. And the video is on Facebook, and I can tell you that the images are really awful. So can I ask the Honourable Minister to take necessary action so that such incident does not happen again, not only at the municipal center at Route Militaire, but in all municipal centers, be it district councils, municipal centers across the island. And also if an inquiry can be done so as to ascertain who bears the responsibility for such an incident.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm very aware of that accident that happened. In fact, I went and visited that girl, that 9-year-old girl, on the same night, and I followed her over the next few days. And the next day we had a meeting in the Municipal Council of Port Louis. We had investigation was done by MNI, Health and Safety, Municipal Council of Port Louis, not just at this particular place, but instruction has been given for investigation, or rather check to be done in all amenities run by the council. I'm not talking about just Port Louis, I'm talking all the 12 councils around the island. This has already been decided, and so the work has already started, and they are progressing because we have a lot of amenities around the island. So the work has been started and they are progressing. As far as the little girl, I'm happy to say that she's improving. Thank you.
Et ma requête est dirigée vers le ministre de l'Énergie et d'Utilité publique. Suite à des travaux effectués dans la région de Trangba depuis hier soir, à la rue Badfield, en face de l'école primaire Guy Rosemont, il y a eu un tuyau principal qui a été endommagé et une perdition conséquente d'eau. Par conséquent, plusieurs maisons dans la région de Trangba se retrouvent sans fourniture d'eau depuis hier soir, avec les inconvénients que cela comporte. Je fais donc un appel à l'honorable ministre de s'assurer que la Central Water Authority répare le tuyau au plus tôt possible et qu'entre-temps, des camions-citernes puissent approvisionner les familles affectées. Merci.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. I've taken note of the request of the honourable member. Can I assure the member that the message will be conveyed to the General Manager of the CWA just after Parliament is adjourned today? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sir, my request is addressed to the Minister of Arts, Honourable Tilak. We have an issue of branch looping with regards to Mayberg Museum. Attention of management has been drawn, but unfortunately up to now, no concrete solution has been found. I'm informed that the fire services have been contacted, but they cannot provide the ladder to reach the height of looping the branches. I would kindly request that you intervene for a timely solution, because same is posing a hazard problem for inhabitants residing on the adjacent road going towards Tombeau Cimetière, which is a lane very frequently used. Thank you, Mr. Minister.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I thank honourable member for highlighting this issue and bringing to my attention this problem of looping. I will certainly take it up with the board and the administration to sort out. Thank you.
You have the privilege to be the last member.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Ma requête ce soir s'adresse au ministre de Jongor, ministre des Utilités publiques. Donc, concernant la fourniture d'eau dans la région de Débarcadère, c'était Ilois et Mont-Saint-Ilois. Donc, il paraît qu'il y a des tuyaux défectueux et ça diminue la pression depuis quelques semaines et il y a des jours que les habitants restent sans eau. Donc, je souhaiterais dire qu'il y a des enfants, qu'il y a des jeunes, des écoliers et des maisons sont sans eau, des fois pendant des longues journées. Donc, je demanderai au ministre s'il peut solliciter la CWA pour intervenir pour au moins améliorer la situation des débarcadères, Stézilois et Mont-Saint-Ilois.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I'll convey the message to the CWA so that action can be taken.
Thank you very much. We've come to the end of the sitting.